Tonight on Sunday Night Air Raid Live, we're going to introduce you to the last Air Raid quarterback that Mike Leach personally recruited. He just completed his combine and he's headed to the NFL. Coach Salas shares takeaways from the Air Raid Clinic, and he tells you how you can host one of his Air Raid clinics next year around this time. And Coach Jason Ross teaches his one Air Raid concept that every coach needs. So if you're a youth or high school coach trying to learn the Air Raid offense in the right way, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Air Raid Academy, where we learn the Air Raid directly from the coaches who run it. Now, let's talk some Air Raid football. Sweet.
I think that's where groups like this are great.
Exactly.
Morning, sir.
Coach Salas, you made it home from Florida, huh?
Barely, yeah.
Wow, how was it? Was it good times?
Oh, awesome clinic. But my wife wanted to fly, and I said, no, we'll just drive. And it was a tough drive back.
Was it? Oh, you guys drove. How long of a drive is that?
It's 6, but I think we figured out how to turn it into 9 on the way back. So.
Well, hopefully it was relaxing and it was the scenic route and it wasn't an accident, because that's usually how it does for me.
It was fun.
Sounds like you went and found some good food.
Oh yeah, had Bucky's Bucky's sandwich for lunch, and had oysters and seafood last night for dinner.
Nice, love that.
I probably gained 10 pounds though. We ate good the whole time.
Awesome. So
Get some Bucky's jerky. Sorry, man.
No, go for it. I want to hear about Bucky's. I want to go next year.
Bucky's is I guess do they have them in California?
I never heard of it.
Okay, Bucky's is the Disney World of gas stations. So you pull in and there's like 100 gas pumps, and then you go inside and there's like a Walmart in there, but they have a brisket. They have a brisket sandwich.
Oh my God.
That I can't pass up.
Oh my
So
God.
I go in there and get a brisket sandwich. So we had that for lunch on Friday, going down, and on today coming back up. So
Love that.
Two brisket sandwiches, and then of course when we were down there we ate good the whole time. So I probably really did gain 10 pounds.
I've had a pretty hard rule about not eating gas station food, Coach, over the years, but it sounds like that's the next level, like trucker heaven, basically, is what you're describing.
It's not truckers. It's all just regular vehicles, but the brisket sandwich is legit.
Yeah, well.
You got a brisket sandwich.
Well, that.
And they make homemade fudge. They make all their own candies.
No way.
They make beef jerky that's just out. I mean, the beef jerky's, it's a thing in its own. It's good stuff.
It's an experience. When you guys get one out there, you need to go to Bucky's. Bucky's, right?
Well, tell us just a little bit, Coach, real quick recap. So it sounded like it was going to be Friday night. Everyone kind of checked in and got in. Did you guys get together that night for anything, or was it mostly just the next day?
We did. We ran the exact Kenny Simpson schedule. So we came in. Here, let's see. Came in and we did overview of the offense, insertion schedule, then did mesh, and then did RPO game. Then went and had dinner and came back Saturday and did run game, quick game, 90 screens, pass pro. Then did the on the field demonstration stuff, and they had all their kids there, and it was phenomenal. The kids were excited. I was excited. Their coaches were excited, and we installed GT counter with the quick screens on both sides. We installed the choice route, and then they were so excited. I gave them 30 minutes after we were done, and they went ahead and they installed outside zone, because that's going to be their number one run this year.
Nice.
So their coaches stayed another 30 minutes on the field with them. And then we came back in and we did what did we do when we came in? We talked practice, we talked game day stuff, which we might talk tonight, and then Q&A, and then the whole school. The reason why you want to host it is because number one, the on-field demonstration is your kids,
Mm.
and then the whole school gets an extra hour session on just okay, what do you need? What do you need to talk about? And we got on the board, and I thought it was a really productive session with just their coaches. So it went great. I loved it. I want to do a bunch more.
That's really cool. So let me just ask you, because I didn't realize that's how it was kind of set up, and it sounds like Kenny does it similarly, where you kind of put out there, does anyone want how did it come about? You kind of put out there, does anyone want us to come do a clinic there? And that, or
Frank and I have been talking for years, and so he invited me down to do a private clinic a couple months ago, and it just happened to be, we had a pretty tough winter here, so it happened to be the weekend I was supposed to go down. I mean, it was all set. We were ready to go. And it was just going to be a private clinic with him and his guys. And that was the weekend that the ice storm hit North Carolina, and it was hitting on a Saturday. So I knew I could get down there, but I couldn't get back. The ice storm hit Saturday like afternoon, evening. So I couldn't have got back. I would have been stuck down there for, when ice or snow hits North Carolina, we're done for a week.
Yeah.
So it got canceled at the last second, and then when we started doing it again, I had already gone to Kenny's thing, and I knew I went to Kenny's clinic just to see the format, and I loved the format. I loved how he did it. So I knew I wanted to replicate his format. And so when we started trying to put it back together, I said, "Hey, would you mind?" And he said, "Yeah, heck yeah, let's do it." So
sweet.
So that's how it came about. So
Okay, cool.
It was a lot of fun. Wife had fun. Everyone had fun. My wife sat in on almost every meeting, and so now she doesn't know it, but I'm gonna hire her as my running backs coach next year. Just kidding, but she said I had
She
no
could do
idea.
it.
I didn't know you guys were speaking Chinese the whole time.
Hey, man, I honestly, my wife probably knows more football than most of the coaches do at this point. So they pick it up through osmosis. Don't discredit them. They're paying attention. But yeah, so for next year, I want to make sure that we promote it and hopefully get more places. Like if we can find other places, other coaches that want to host it. What's the best way to do it? Just email you, or how would we?
Yeah, reach out. It's no charge to them. They just have to have a facility, and then we use their kids. Their coaches get in free to the clinic.
Yeah.
And then they get an extra hour after everything's done to just focus on their needs, and the guys that were there are going to give me good. I mean, Frank was ecstatic, and the on-field stuff was just out the gate, and it was the same way at Kenny's clinic. Like I thought the on-field stuff at Kenny's clinic was amazing.
Yeah.
And I had like I had an idea how it was supposed to work, but where Kenny puts in buck sweep and the RPOs off of it. So I put in GT counter and then the choice route, and the quick screens off the GT counter. So it was amazing. I loved it. I want to do a bunch more. If anyone's interested, just reach out. We'd love to do something. We'd love to do something out west.
Yeah. Well, that's where I would want to focus my attention. And I know one of the air raid coaches I just got on to come in, or two of them, Jeff Steinbeck down in L.A. There's two L.A. coaches that want to come on this Sunday night show soon. That run air raids, so we can talk a little bit with them even maybe. But yeah, I think that's great. I think with the whole year to prepare, Coach.
I've always had a thing about LA, so I would love to do one out in LA.
Yeah, for sure. And it's always a little warmer down there for me too. So yeah, all right, let's with a whole year to prepare, there's no reason why we can't at least have one on each coast next year, if not one in the middle of the country too. Okay, cool. Well, let us know if anyone's interested in hosting. Obviously, there's enough air raid people out there, enough passing game people out there to get interested in something like this. At the very least, you're going to have a passing game after Joe comes and installs. Guys, before we get into our content tonight, and Coach, sounded like you had some game plan stuff that you wanted to talk through. I had Jason Ross prepare just like one, if he could only have one air raid concept, what would it be and why? Just that type of conversation.
I'd like to do that.
Yeah, cool. But first, I wanted to ask you, Coach, have you heard about this kid, Sawyer Robertson?
I have not.
I'm going to show you guys a clip of him while I talk. So this is the last Mike Leach quarterback. So he's going through the draft right now is the reason I'm bringing him up. He was recruited personally by Leach. All right, you see him? So this kid has some really interesting ties. He actually grew up in Lubbock and was 5 years old at the Crabtree game when Mike Leach called 6 with Crabtree and Graham Harrell. His dad played for Texas Tech at some point in his life, so there's a really cool tie there. But he ended up going to Mississippi State with him when Leach went over there. Played 2 years at Mississippi State behind who was that that quarterback? Will Rogers, I think. And then he transferred to Baylor. So this is his Baylor film from last year that you're seeing on the screen. And so he was at Baylor last year, and he's in the draft. He's projected to be like the 7th quarterback or something taken. But Leach had big praise for him. Like there's a bunch of quotes online about him. He thinking this kid was going to be the next great air raid quarterback in college. It didn't quite work out that way, but looks like he's got some tools. Okay, cool. I mean, he's a big kid too. He's I think they put him at 6'4" or something. Yeah, so he started 22 games, passed for 7,600 yards, 61 touchdowns, 10 games with 300 yards, 3 games with 400 yards, and he beat Texas Tech in Lubbock as a Baylor Bear.
Sawyer, you mentioned you played for Mike Leach. You got any funny Mike Leach stories from when you were in 2022?
Man, we played Kentucky in 2022, and we didn't play particularly well, and so obviously he wasn't happy with it. After the game on Saturday, we were a Sunday practice team, and then we had Monday off. And so Sunday night, we're going out to practice, put our jersey pants on, and we're out there. The quarterbacks are warming up. Leach walks out there, and he's like, no, we don't need the balls today. So we're like, what? Like, we're about to practice without footballs? And he's like, everybody to the sand pit. And so we go to the sand pit, and our entire Sunday practice was us doing pencil rolls in a 60-yard sand pit.
Oh.
I don't know if you've ever rolled around in sand, but like 3 days later, sand is still falling out of your head, and that's the reason he did it. He wanted us to, whenever the sand would fall out of our hair, whatever later, he wanted us to remember, oh, my effort wasn't very good on Saturday, so I better get that fixed this next game.
He's obviously goofy, but like, how is he as an offensive mind? What did you take away from him to where you're at right now?
It was great. He was really good with just go through your reads, trust your process, throw to the open guy. And something that I'll take with me that I learned from him for the rest of my life is he was truly authentically himself. He didn't care what other people thought about him. And that's a quality as a quarterback that you have to have, right? Because as an NFL quarterback, you're going to be hated by 31 out of 32 teams, sometimes 32 out of the 32 teams. And so you can't really worry about what other people think of you. And I think Mike Leach was the prime example of that. And so I'm thankful I got to play for him.
All right. So what do you guys think? Game planning or Jason Ross, one air raid concept to rule them all?
Joe. Go for it, Joe. Whatever you want to do, man.
I definitely want to see Jason's thing.
All right, Jason.
All it is going to be stick. It's nothing special, nothing pretty.
Well, no. I mean, this is kind of why we're here, though, guys. Like, Air Raid Academy, like literally the whole point of the Air Raid Academy. And Joe, we haven't rehearsed this, but I'm going to take it and just run with it. Is to help coaches install Air Raid, right? Like that's at our core value. If we can help coaches install Air Raid or install Air Raid concepts, maybe they're not going to be full Air Raid, but just helping them pass the ball. So if someone's new coming in and saying, I need to install something, I need to get going this year on Air Raid, that's where this question comes from. And there's a million coaches out there making air raid content these days, so it can get lost. It's easy to get lost in this rabbit hole that's even getting bigger and deeper. So I'd love to like just ask great coaches like Jason, hey, what's the one thing? If you could only do one air raid thing, what would it be and why? And I think
I'd say the purpose is to help coaches win.
There you go.
And to I think there's a certain mindset that comes with air raid, whether you're cherry picking plays or whether you're going all in. But there's a when you're an air raid guy, at least when you're my kind of air raid guy, because I know there's all kinds. But my way of thinking is you're wanting to simplify and you believe in repetition. So anything that goes in that direction that can help guys win, that's what we're talking about.
Love it.
And of course, anytime, I always like, and not just with air raid guys, I always, like when I go to a clinic, I want to see, like, show me your best one.
Yeah.
Don't show me your fancy one
Exactly.
that you ran 4 times last year. Show me the ones that you run. I want to see the play that you run 10 times in a game. That's the play I always want to see. Your bread and butter, the one that you're going to hang your hat on no matter who you play. That's the play I want to see. So, and stick to a lot of people is that. So to me, that's always what interests me. I hate when they draw up, you go in a clinic and first they want to tell you how many D1s they got, because I don't have any. And then number 2, they want to show you the shovel pass or something that they're going to call 4 times.
Right.
Show me the one that you hang your hat on, and because that's the good one.
Yep. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking when I was talking to Jason about it yesterday. So cool, man. Yeah, Jason, if you could let these coaches know, like Stick is air raid royalty in terms of quick game and just getting the short passes so we can draw them up to go deep, like literally. So I don't think there's any waste of time talking Stick anytime it's brought up. So please, Jason has been on my program for many years. He's presented on Coach Salas's as well, and he has his own channel, Coach Ross Football. Yes.
Yeah.
At Coach Ross Football. He's a high school coach. Why don't you introduce yourself just in case someone hasn't seen you on our channels before?
Yeah, so I coach here in the state of North Carolina, just like Joe. I've actually coached against him a couple, for the last few years. These are 2 schools that I coach at now, and the school that he was at. We're pretty big time rivals. We saw him. The first game of the year was it, Coach? Every year.
Yeah,
so,
opening game, yeah.
Yep, and so before then, I was a middle school head coach for about 10 to 12 years. So got into the air raid and learned a lot from Matt, from Joe. Learned a lot and started going down that rabbit hole and learning more and more. And then as I learned, I wanted to go ahead and share what I knew and the ways that I would go about doing it. Because obviously every coach is different, but you're going to borrow from everybody else and kind of make it your own. So yeah, so here I am with the YouTube channel, Coach Ross Football, trying to help out other coaches, trying to simplify this type of offense to make it as easy of a transition from, the play diagrams to out on the practice field to eventually on the game field. So, yeah.
Love it.
So you asked me, Matt, about, if I had one play to run, that would be this stick play. A lot of coaches call it Y stick. I just call it simply stick because I want to be able to try and run that play from both sides of the field. So it's the easiest play because in my eyes it exemplifies the whole mindset behind the air raid offense, which is to get the ball out fast, get it to your best playmakers in space quickly, and let them do what they do in the open field. And in my opinion, stick is no better play than that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm just going to kind of just show you real quick. If we're just going out of a 2x2 set, I will show it out of 3x1 here. But we're going to run stick to our left, so we're going to call it H-stick here. So starting with the outside receiver, we're going to have him on a mandatory outside release. So he's going to get an outside release, and then he's going to try and stack over that corner and get back on the number. So he's still going to occupy the same type of landmark that he would on a full vertical play. And so, again, we are trying to just clear out that corner, clear out space in the flats. So then our H, he is going to be running the stick route. Now, way we tell him is, depending on where that defender is, if that defender is head up over him, we try and tell that receiver to aim for that inside shoulder, attack that inside shoulder, and then set up in the window right in between that overhang defender and that next inside linebacker, and try and find that space right there with your hands up to the quarterback. So typically that's about a three-step hitch, or it's kind of angled into the inside a little bit depending on where that defender is over top of him. And then we naturally take advantage of the flats with our running back here on a 2x2 set. So he's out in the swing in the flats. And so what we're just trying to do is take advantage of this defender right here, this overhang defender, and make him wrong. So he's got to make a decision. And no matter what decision he makes, he's going to be wrong. So if he stays inside here and covers that hook area of his zone, and he stays inside, then we have the flats wide open for the running back to throw out to the flats. And if he decides to go out and chase the swing, then the quarterback sees that, and so he is just simply looking to hit that stick right there. And that receiver's taught to, once he catches that ball, he's going to tight turn up the field and get straight up. He's not going to loop it. Either way, he's going to just put his foot in the ground and get upfield as fast as he can. And so that's how we do it on a 2x2. And the simple rule, we just tell the quarterbacks, and I think I learned this from Coach Mackey a long time ago. Simple rule is, if this defender goes out, we throw in. If he stays in, we throw out. So it's a simple, just little rule that way. And if we do it by 3x1, so I'm just going to erase some of this stuff here and put it into a 3x1. So we'll move Y over and we'll have a 3x1 here. Now, the one rule that I always follow, it's a base rule that I follow with my offense, is if I'm doing any kind of split field concept, I always have a rule, and I can do this with any kind of formation I want here, because again, the formation is key for the defense, because again, it's a different picture for the defense, but it's the same for us because of the rules that I establish. And the rules that I have is any kind of split field concept, like for example, snag, fade out, stick. The rules stay the same for the number one receiver. We count from outside to in, so 1 would be the most outside, 2 would be the middle, and then 3 would be your flat receiver typically. So we could do that out of any kind of formation. So for example, if we decided to stack these two players like that, the formation is still 1, 2, 3, and the rules still to be the same. The only way it gets a little bit different would be if we had a bunch, and again the rule would still be the same. The way we would count it would be 1, and then the outside receiver would be 2 and 3. So it's still, the rules would still be the same. You just need to know which number you are as far as the count and the receivers. So on a 3x1, if we were just going to run simple stick, outside receiver has that vertical, so that doesn't change. So he's getting vertical. We still have our stick by number 2, and then we have our flat by number 3. And that would be the same if we did any kind of formation, whether I showed you the bunch formation or the stack, or any other kind of formation you can come up with a 3x1. You would still have the rules set in place for outside receiver has that vertical route, number 2 receiver has the concept route, and then that number 3 receiver has that flat route. So a lot of times that's the same for snag, for stick. Change a little bit for fade out, but I mean it's still basically the same. And so that's how I kind of teach the split field concepts in a 3x1 setup there. And we would have the running back. Typically on a 3x1 set, we would have the running back opposite the receivers. But the rule, again, in a 3x1 is still the same. We're still trying to play the game with that one overhang defender, making him wrong. Again, he's either going to chase that flat route, or he's going to stay inside and he's going to guard that stick route, because that's where his zone is meant to be. So again, depending on what he does, and the quarterback's going to eye that, so the quarterback's eyes, we're going to peek that corner, that vertical route. If we can take a shot over the top, basically it's a pre-snap look, so he's pre-snapping that corner. If he's off like he is here, that vertical route basically is dead, but we're just going to clear that corner back out of there, and then his eyes immediately go post-snap to this overhang defender, and he is basically just watching to see what he does. If he makes that decision to go to the flats, we throw the stick. If he stays there, then we throw the flat route to the sideline. And so I have a couple little clips just to kind of show you what it looks like. So right here, this is a 3x1 here, and again, we are just trying to play the game with this overhang defender here and just make him wrong. So number 3 is going to he's not going to do a flag, he's going to do
Hold on, Jay. Jay, real quick, I'm not seeing any film. If you're
not seeing that, okay,
I'm still on the playbook.
Okay, let me figure what I gotta do wrong here.
And it could be me too. Let's see if there's another window I could click into. No.
Let me try this. Here, let's see. How about this?
There it is.
Yep.
Perfect.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay, so let me go back to it real quick.
I like those yellow unis.
All right, so again, a 3x1 here. We have our number 2. He's going to run the stick route. Our number 3, he's going to basically just do a pedal, but it's still a flat route here. And the quarterback's eyes immediately right now are just going to go to this defender right here. And whatever he does, he's wrong.
That was a nice, clear picture, honestly, with the linebacker sitting there.
Yeah. We'll play it back one more time here. And he makes that choice to go for that bubble. It opens up the window right behind it. And again, receiver does a great job of trying to just put his foot in the ground and get as much yardage. So 7-yard catch turns into almost about a 15, 18-yard gain. So it's an easy little concept to teach. So that one's there. Let's see if you have. I have one more I can show you. So let's see if I can pull it up real quick. I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second, okay?
Yeah, take your time. Coach Salas, stick first down play for you guys, or do you call it anytime?
Anytime for us, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is just to show you that the first clip. Can you all see this one on the screen?
There it is.
Yes.
Perfect. It just came up.
All right, cool. So this is actually JV. So again, it can be ran at that lower level as well too, pretty easily. Now the only difference here we are going to put running back into a push motion here to the sideline here to create a little bit of confusion. Quarterback, in my opinion, on this play actually does make he probably can throw it to the running back, but he does throw it to the stick route. It's a tighter window, but he does have the option to throw to the running back, but he just makes the decision to throw to the stick route, but it's open as well. You can see there goes the push motion there. But an easy little 5-yard throw turns into about a 7-yard gain.
Love it. We've got a question coming in too when you're ready. It's great.
I'm ready. That's about all. That's the most of my presentation right
No,
there.
This while we've all probably seen stick, it really what we're after, Jason, is like why it works so well, and like just the nuance between it. So yes, this is a good question. From YouTube, how does he dictate which side the F is on in 3x1 running 618? Pure air raid guy, I like it. When he wants to run 618 post wheel.
So basically, a rule for what I usually put in, unless we tag something, unless there's some sort of verbiage that we put into the play call itself, the base rule for a 3x1 set for us would be, if we have 3 receivers to say for example we're in late, then that's going to put the running back on opposite the trips. And so, what was the other part of the question?
Well, I think that's what he was asking. Like it might be a tell, right? And who cares if whatever. But if you were to want to get that running back in and do a wheel, or maybe it's the H running off the chute to a wheel. But I think that's what he was getting after was like having him on the play side when he's not involved versus when he is involved.
Oh yeah, well the base rule, when we first install it, 3x1, the number one rule is running backs always opposite trips. Now obviously as we go throughout the season, we add some little wrinkles to it to where we start him on the trip side, then we flip him, or we motion him to, actually create like a 4x1 where we would actually push him out and actually send him on a rail route. So there are different tag. That's why I like stick so much, is because I can tag stick just like other coaches like the tag for vertical so much. I like the tag on stick as well, because I can create a bunch of different mismatches and still have that easy read to the overhang, to the flats. So, I mean, that's why I like stick, because I can tag it so much. But the base rule for me when I first install is 3x1, running back's always opposite trips. And then we build off of that. That's the foundation that we lay out, and then from there we build off of that.
Love it, love it, love it. He says, thank you. The last thing he's asking, what do you do on the backside, I guess, of stick? But I mean, for a lot of air raid coaches, it's like quick games, probably all the same. What do you do on backside these days?
I flip flop between a hitch and a slant. I've been more favorable to slants, just because I can get that player on the move and hit him in stride. So probably just did an easy quick slant. Now if it's 2x2, it would still be probably double slants, where the inside receiver's taking a 1-step slant, the outside receiver's taking about a 3-step slant.
Awesome. All right, and last question. This is from me. You've been teaching stick at many different levels over the years. Like you said, we started doing middle school air raid 5 years ago with COVID, 6 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
So is there one like coaching tip with stick that seems like if a coach was trying to install this, like, yeah, we're gonna aim at the inside of the overhang, or we're gonna outside release the outside receiver, like, is there one coaching point you've heard from Mackie or Salas or yourself that you found on the field that's like, this is what this coaching point needs to be done for a coach to have success with stick? Quick reminder, if you're enjoying these conversations and want to learn the offense deeper, make sure you grab our free Air Raid starter kit at airraid.academy and join the coaches community inside the academy. All right, back to the show.
Stick for me, it would be to the quarterback, because it's easy to teach. I mean, once you base and the receivers understand space, and they can actually see the windows pre-snap to where they know where they need to go to find that window. My biggest coaching point for stick would be to the quarterback. And again, it's that same thing that Matt talked about that I've adopted, whereas that quarterback's eyes go to that overhang defender, and if he moves out slightly, or and he chases that flat route, then you're throwing opposite. You're throwing opposite of whatever that player does. And
Yeah.
that is the easiest coaching point I can teach for stick, because I mean, I've seen on all levels, high school, middle school, to where they know they got to read that one guy, and what that guy does, you throw opposite what he does.
Love it. Yeah, and you had such a nice picture on that first one. It's nice when it's so clear like that. Coach Salas, anyone else in the room have any questions for Jason before I ask Coach Salas for his one stick coaching point? Questions, comments in the room? All right, Salas, please. What's your best coaching point for stick? If someone's trying to
honestly, I think I'm gonna steal Jason's. I've never told the quarterback to get his eyes on the walk. We were using I don't know why I keep forgetting this guy. Who was the O coordinator at UNC, and then he went to Wisconsin?
Oh yeah.
What?
Who was that?
Harry guy.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
He was,
I'm blanking on his name, and I don't know why. But anyway, he was talking about getting your eyes between them and reading it at the same time. But I think your way is just easier. Just get your eyes on the walk player. The only thing we do different than what Jason said was we tell him if the walk player's head up on you, attack his inside shoulder.
mm-hmm.
If he's inside of you, attack his outside shoulder, and then if he's outside of you, just run a straight ahead. We still do the mummy 3-step hitch on it, which is one of Hal's big things. Is have it a little shorter than don't go a full 5 yards on it. But that aiming point on the stick guy. Because if he's inside of you, like on the first one, or on the drawing, if you attack his outside shoulder, you're almost pinning him inside. So you're giving your back just an easy. I mean, it's done already. If he's head up on you, which we get a lot of guys that just get head up on us, now attack his inside shoulder, and occasionally you'll get one that lines up outside of you. Not very often, but every once in a while, and then we just ignore him and go straight ahead. So that's the only little coaching points. But I'm gonna steal it. We look at enough. It used to be like such a sin, you know. I was always so proud to say we don't look at bad guys, we look at our guys, you know, going through progressions. But now we've got several plays where we're reading their guy, so this would be no different. I think you get the ball out a little quicker if you do it Jason's way and just read that guy.
Yeah, we got another question or comment from YouTube, but first I want to double down and double click into what you guys are saying, right? Like, I think a lot of us here growing up on TV would hear like, oh, he's telegraphing his throws. He's showing everyone where he's going to throw by looking. But I want young coaches to get that out of their head. Like for Verts, he is staring at the free safety. For Shallow, I have them staring at this same overhang defender. Like, we need to just focus on making the quick read fast. If somehow that's giving something away, especially for these quick plays like this, then it is what it is. But I love what you guys are saying. And I think, it was Patrick Taylor he calls it the 23 read, like Michael Jordan, the 2-3 read, right? He's looking at the overhang defender to see who he covers, if he's covering the 2 or the 3 receiver. So kind of all different ways of saying the same thing. Damon Ivory on YouTube is talking about the progressions, and I think that's important because I've actually heard, I want to say Mummy throws the swing more than anything else in this, from what I've heard from old tapes. But so Damien on YouTube says he's heard that it's been taught with 2x2, peak, the go, stick, and then swing. What are you guys teaching progression-wise?
I teach the same way. He's going to pre-snap that go route and look and see if he's got a chance to take that shot. If that corner's off, then the base of that go route's dead. And then his eyes go down that overhang, and he's looking to stick to swing or shoot if you're a shoot guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours is he's only going to throw that vert if it's press coverage.
Period. And how are you? I mean, it's a lot, right? How would it be almost? If it's a clean release, would you say it's almost mandatory that he throws the go, or is that just like a feel thing for the quarterback?
Unless it's unless we're in a critical like 4th down situation where we want the safe one, we're probably going to take, if it's pressed out there on that corner, on that outside receiver, we're taking it just because we feel good about that. We feel like that's a high percentage throw for us.
Yeah, you've been doing pat and go all season, all off season.
And any concept
I agree.
that's
That's
simple
one
to teach,
regret that I've
gets
had,
the ball
that I
out
did
quick
not
to our playmakers
incorporate
in space,
those,
and that enables
you know,
quarterbacks to make simple decisions.
that
is most certainly
that
air
vertical
raid
for
model.
fade out would stick.
But honestly, it doesn't happen.
Did you want to
very
talk
much.
game planning with the
if
rest
they
of
were
our time
giving us
today?
a whole lot of press coverage out there, we would have been calling 96 all night instead. So,
Right.
giving you press coverage on the edge, usually they're giving you press coverage on your slot guy. So it's a whole different, it's a different look. So I can't tell you the last time I called stick and we ended up throwing the vert, just because, you're usually not in that world when you're throwing a bunch of sticks.
Yeah. All right, awesome. Well, that was a nice stick conversation.
Let's just talk about. I wanted to talk. We spent a lot of time talking yesterday on the box guy.
Yeah.
His role and the role, game day roles as far as headset communication. Like I'm a stickler on. I don't want a running conversation going on in the headsets. I got a lot of stuff going on. We use like a three-headed monster on play calling, where I'm kind of, my job's to dominate the near sideline. The box guy's job is to dominate the far sideline, and the O-line coach is usually signaling in plays, and his job is to basically tell us, where and what to run. And the rule is, don't explain it. That's too many words. Just call the play. And if you call the play and I don't call it, then call it again. Don't get butt hurt. Don't think it's no good that I heard you and thought, no, that's no good. Just call it again the next time. And call it again the next time. And then with both of them, I'm big on call low-hanging fruit. I never want to look at the film on Sunday and say, oh my God, we gave up. Look how many, we should have been running quick screens all night, or we should have been running counter all night, or we should have been running hitches all night, or we should have been running stick all night. I had that conversation before. So just don't tell me the double pass is there. Don't give me any kind of weird, I want the basics. What are they giving us that we need to take advantage of? And keeping the conversation, and don't explain it to me. Don't tell me they're way back. We need to, just tell me the play. Tell me the play, and I'll call the play. And then the second big one is the box guy has to be out of the emotions. Like he can't get in the emotion. We're on the sideline, and we're in the emotion of the game. He has to be separated from the emotion, because he's the guy when there's 15 seconds left and you're on the 7-yard line. He's the guy that has to be able to say, hey, we need to kick the field goal right here. He's the guy that needs to be able to say, hey, coach, we can run the ball on them tonight. He has to be separate from the emotion of the game, because we know when we're on the sideline, we're not thinking about it's 15 seconds. We're thinking about I can get this in. We got to get this in. So it's a big deal, and you got to have that conversation ahead of time. The importance of the box guy being separate from the emotion and being able to make logical calls, even when we're not being, there's the fog of war is real. And that's why we can always outcoach those $1 million coaches when we're watching the bowl games. We can outcoach them because they're in the fog of war, and we're sitting on our couch, drinking a Corona and eating chips, So it's easier for us. We're out of the emotion of it, and that's the box coach's job. He's got to be out of the emotion of it and be able to give sound, logical advice, separated from the emotion of the game. And that's a huge deal. And we lost a playoff game this year for that reason, that the box guy got into the emotion of the game, and he couldn't, and it was literally 5 seconds left in the half, and I told them kick a field goal, and they were in the motion of the game, and they wanted to go for it, and we didn't get it, and ended up losing the playoff game by 1 point. So that's your job. Your job is to be separate from the emotion and make the logical decisions. And it's the difference between winning and losing most nights.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that. Ross, at the high school level, I'm assuming it gets probably a little more intense up there. Are you seeing a lot of that same stuff?
Yeah, exactly. I haven't seen the same exact stuff. Where a lot of talk going on, and like Coach said, you just got to keep it quiet, and all that conversation. You can't get the play call in. You can't decide. You can't really figure and factor in what's going on. So, absolutely, I'm in total agreement with Joe.
Yeah, and I think part of it is, and I think I stole this from Joe at some point, was assigning coaches, and you were kind of alluding to it a second ago, like literally giving them jobs. Because number one, if they don't have jobs, they're just going to watch the game, right? And then they're useless to everybody. But number two, yes, if they do have specific jobs, not getting too fired up, especially in that role. Holy cow.
And just understanding, it's not, we're not there to have a conversation. And that sounds it sounds like I'm being a dick, but it's impossible when you're in a stressful situations and you got people talking in your ear, and you got to work the officials, you got to worry about special teams, you got someone pulling your belt, pulling you back off the sideline, and you got to make critical calls. You cannot. I mean, the point is you have to have these discussions ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everyone's got to understand, okay, here's how we're going to communicate on the headset. Like here's one of mine, and I get so mad, and people, think, oh, Joe's a dick, but do not predict the flags. Like, a flag comes down, don't you dare be the one that says, oh, that's holding on us. No, shut up. That's not your job. I got to keep a positive mindset, because our job, we got, whether we're scoring 1,000 points or we're getting mangled, my job is to go and watch take them to the tent, watch the video, and then say, okay, we got them now, let's go. We got to be the ones that are always bringing positive. So you can't bring, it's like a salesman, like an insurance salesman. They're always listening to positive tapes and stuff in their car, because they get so many no's. They got to keep feeding themselves positive. So don't predict the dang flags. That's just going to piss me off. You can't. All these conversations got to happen ahead of time. The box guy's got to know that his job is to stay detached from the emotions, and his job, when he says, "Hey, coach, we need to kick this field goal right here," that there's no argument. That is the detached, out of the emotion voice of logic, and he has to be trusted there. So that also means you can't, if you're up in the box, you can't be the guy that keeps asking for the reverse pass, because that's going to make me take that earphone and slide it up just above my ear where I can't hear you talking no more. So you got, that's a trusted position, and you can't screw it up by asking for trick plays and, reverse, all that kind of stuff. Give me bread and butter, give me low-hanging fruit when you're calling plays, and then be the logical, calm voice in those pressure situations, because in the fog of war, I'm just, I told him, someone asked me a question at the clinic, and I think I gave it to you, the same answer last week, is, it's like the Tom Cruise movie when he was the race car driver. And he says, I don't understand all that racing jargon. All I know how to do is drive fast. And that's, when we're down there, all I know how to do is score. I'm trying my best to score, whether we're down by 100 or whether it's 10 seconds to go in the game. I'm trying my best to score, and I need to be able to count on the box guy to say, hey, coach, we need to kick it right here. We're just 5 seconds before the half. It's a big deal. Let's get the points.
Yeah.
And, and I got to be able to trust you in that situation to listen to you when you say that. So don't screw it up by asking for the reverse pass. Be the guy that's calling for quick screens and sticks, and then I know I can trust you.
Exactly.
Just to piggyback off what Joe said, exactly, because there were a couple times this past season where, whether we were in a timeout or we were having a punt or whatever it might be, I've had other coaches saying, Coach Ross, tell me, they want you to put your headset back on. Put your headset down. I'm like, no, well, you tell them to shut up first, because they're talking in my ear. I can't think. I can't, I'm trying to think of the next play, the next sequence of plays, and they're in your ear. Why would you call this? Why would you do that? And it's like, no, just give me the information that I need to make the right play call. Stop having a conversation because I can't think and I can't focus on what I need to be doing as far as being successful on the field. So I'm right there with you, Joe. We had a bunch of instances like that this year. It drives me nuts.
And I think the secret to it is you got to have these conversations ahead of time. You know, even you can't have this can't be a pissed off conversation at halftime. This has to be a calm conversation in the coach's office before the first scrimmage. And everyone's got to know their role, and the box guys got to know that that's your role. Your role is to be calm and detached. You know, don't you dare be the guy that's getting butt hurt up there. You gotta be the voice of wisdom, and that means you have to stay detached. And the famous one is the conversations. And like what Matt said, a coach without a job, that guy's in the way. He's always gonna be in the way. He's gonna comment on everything. I don't need an expert at everything. I need an expert at the exact thing that I told you you're in charge of.
Yep. Give me the data. Let me work. I love it. Last question on that, guys, because it sounds like, Joe, you've done a good job of trying to give one person a way to speak to you. But do you get from other coaches, hey, call this or call that? Like, is it coming from multiple people, guys, in the headset?
It depends. It depends on the environment. Where I was this year, it was friggin' chaos on the headsets constantly. Until it was not cutting time, and then everyone wanted to get quiet. I'll tell you what, they got quiet. If I asked a question, it was crickets. But if I wasn't asking questions, everyone had their opinion, and I just needed them to be quiet and give me the data I'm asking for.
Yeah.
And now, when I'm running the show, we have this conversation ahead of time, so no, I never had that problem. Our guys understood it, but it's because we had that conversation before the first scrimmage. And then we practice, like we wore our headsets at the first scrimmage, at both scrimmages, just because we wanted to practice that stuff.
Oh, nice.
And that was what we talked about afterwards. Was okay. We got to do better here. We didn't. I needed So those conversations, we're practicing that stuff. We wear our headsets on the last Thursday before we play for the same reason. We want to practice that stuff and make sure we're good to go on it, because it is no fun when there's chaos. There's no way you can think, and then people take their headset off or pull it just above their ear so it looks like it's on, but it's really not. And then everyone gets frustrated because then when they have something important to say, you're not hearing it. Well, that's because I was hearing chaos the last 15 minutes, and I couldn't even think. So it's important to have that conversation. Almost everything can be solved with conversations ahead of time, and having a plan ahead of time. To me, when we said, helping coaches win, and the mindset of simplicity and repetition, well, I think routine is part of that simplicity and repetition. You got to establish routines. Like game day needs to be the same. Every Monday for us is the same. Every Tuesday, Wednesday is the same. Every Thursday, our kids, our coaches, everyone understands what's about. This is Thursday. We know exactly what's going to happen. And the same has to be on game day. That, okay, we know the routine. We know what's expected. We know what our job is. And think about and that builds confidence. Routine builds confidence, and chaos, creates unconfidence. It creates stress, because who wants to go into a game and you're not 100% sure what your job is, or what you're supposed to be looking at, because that conversation simply didn't happen ahead of time. And then, what's worse is then you get to halftime and the head coach is pissed off. Well, he's pissed off because he didn't have that conversation with everyone ahead of time.
It's so funny. Yeah, no, this is a great tidbits, guys, and for all you coaches at the high school level, definitely heard that time and time again. Love it. And just for fun, Brian Deason, if you're in the room, you want to talk about the get back guy. Yeah. Do you guys have do you guys always have the same get back guy every year? Is it the strength and conditioning guy, or or just
No, it's like Coach was saying. I think there's a lot of more staffs that are going to this, kind of.
Oh, we lost you, Bri.
Are you there?
Oh, there you go. You're back now.
Yeah. So I was going to say that, the get back guy is the voice of reason in the box, right? And I think there's a lot of coaches, there's a lot of staffs here in Oklahoma, they do the same thing, kind of like what Joe does, is they'll have, 4 or 5 guys that are responsible for certain things on the field, and they're just relaying that information to the coaches as they need them. You got safeties guys talking to the DC on the field if he's on the field or if he's in the box. But the get back guy, he kind of cuts through all of the BS that goes on the headsets. And when you hear that get back, it's kind of telling everybody, okay, let's get back to the script. Something that we're not fussing about, trying to figure out what the call is, right? And it's just like an alert for the quarterback, So when they say, get back, we're going to go back to the script. We'll get back to something that's a first down, short run, near, far type formations and those things. And, the information that they should be gathering through the game for you guys, when you're asking for that, critical information, do I kick it, right? Do we go for 7 here? Do we go for the win? We got enough time? We take a shot? You think we can get, 10 seconds out of this play? We can boil it down to 8 or something like that? Those are the things, in the heat of battle, they're very crucial. So if you have a bunch of conversations going on, we just have one guy that comes in and say, hey, get back, and then he'll give the top 3 plays in that category of the situation that we're in.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So, and that's something that, again, you have to talk with your coaching staff. You got to get it squared away. You have to kind of pre-script, and in my opinion, some of those situations that you're going to run into the game. What are our best calls, right? What's our most efficient call for the year? We're 3rd and 4. There's 30 seconds left. We're on the 15, right? I mean, what are we going to do? And so I think if you have those situations talked about and the debate starts on what you're going to do in the heat of battle, sometimes somebody's just got to say, hey, get back. Let's go back to the script. This is our number 1 most efficient play. Let's call it, right? And then, like Joe said, you just got to trust that guy. He's the voice of reason. And just call the play and let it ride. Let the kids go play ball and kind of trust your process. I think, that's a very invaluable, very, very valuable stuff you gave there, Joe. That was great.
Well, at your place, like in big do-or-die situations, there's not a lot of chatter. It's on all the other situations. I get them. When it gets crickets now. When the game's on the line, it's crickets. There's no one wanting to talk at that point. But the problem is that the decision maker has already slipped that dang headphone up above his ear if there's too much craziness before that. And then it really does have, then when the voice of reason is saying you need to kick this one, he don't have his earphone down because there was too much talking if you don't get it straight ahead of time.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's, like I said, very, very valuable.
Well, I love
Who was the kid that was doing, was it on TikTok or was it on X where he was doing all the sideline? He was a coach and he was doing, and one of them was the coach says go for it on 4th down. Remember that?
yeah.
He was an Oklahoma guy, wasn't he?
Yep. Yeah, he was hot for a minute.
And the coach just go for it, and the OC's freaking out, and of course the O-line guy says run the power, and everyone else is quiet, like no one else wants to say anything.
Oh man, well those are probably the funny recaps every year after the season where you guys can kind of joke about those sideline moments because I'm sure they happen every week. Too good. All right, well, great guys. I really appreciate obviously this great conversation. Hopefully, everyone out there can take one thing from Jason's conversation on stick. I know I heard some great stuff in there. So if you're going to install stick, you're not going to go wrong. That's a staple for air raid. And then obviously it's great to hear about the clinic, Coach. I'm glad it went so well.
Yeah, really had fun.
All right, great. Well, next week we will be back. So thank you all for joining us for another Sunday night. Coach, anything we want to promote? Anything coming up in your world?
Hopefully I'll have my culture book coming out in the next week or two.
Oh, very cool.
I've been saying that for a month now. The last week is like a construction job. That last week sometimes takes a month, so we're working.
Got to get this. Yeah, we got to put it all together. Okay, cool. Just so you guys know, we do have some interviews. I've been trying to line up some interviews with some great coaches like Bobby Acosta. Bedwell, by the way, Salas said he's going to join us sometime soon to talk some ball. Even your buddy Tony Franklin said he's moving to New York or something next couple of weeks, but he said he'll come on in a month or so. So we got some cool, really great air raid coaches lined up for you all coming up, but we will continue on every Sunday regardless, talking ball with our leader Salas, with great coaches like Jason and Brian Deason, and we'll make sure you guys know when all those fun interviews are happening or what we're going to be doing week to week, but you can count on us being here every Sunday night, either way. Any parting word, guys?
Appreciate all the work. Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
Right on.
Happy birthday, Joe.
Yes,
Happy birthday, Joe.
Did I miss Joe's birthday? Oh my gosh, sorry. Happy birthday.
Appreciate it.
All righty.
Did you get anything cool for your birthday?
Not yet. I had a long road trip, so it's coming. I think we're having family dinner on Thursday, so that's when everything will happen.
Really wonderful.
That'd be
First kid. Makes them feel great about themselves.
Appreciate it, man.
So thanks for listening and drive carefully.
All right, fellas. We'll talk to you guys next week. Appreciate everyone joining. Have a great week. If you're serious about learning this offense, download the free Air Raid Starter Kit at airraid.academy. If you enjoyed tonight's conversation, of course, subscribe to this channel, share this with another coach, and join us every week for our Sunday night Air Raid Live. But remember, coaches, it's not what you know, but what your players can execute. We'll see you next week.
End zone, blown coverage, touchdown, Texas Tech still breathing.
Look at that, 800 total yards tonight.